they've sent me your script and I read it today and I loved it.
Great.
I thought it was so good. Yeah. How did it come about? What was the stimulus for it?
It kind of so last term in my uni, so I'm in my last year of a writing course at Central School of Speech and Drama. Yeah, so last term we did they're called like solo-led writing projects, or student-led even, and you kind of get a choice of things to do, and I decided to do a digital solo performance, and we kind of had free reign with the theme, but I suppose I was just interested in kind of doing things about body image and about how kind of your perspective of yourself is so affected by other people's perspective of you, and kind of the way that we define looks is so based in sort of society and things that aren't, I think quite often with how people look, we think of it as something quite literal and physical, and it's there and it's in front of you and it's easy to tell what it is, but actually I think there's a lot more to it. I wanted to base it a bit on my own experiences, but I don't know, it's kind of sometimes hard to make a narrative out of that, because obviously life doesn't really fit so easily into that kind of a thing. So that's why it's kind of semi-autobiographical. So some of it is based on my own experiences, and then some of it's sort of a bit weirder and like quite obviously not realistic, but meant to be kind of metaphorical, I guess.
Oh, how has that been? Because obviously you're doing a writing course, but it is like a drama school. So how have they kind of adapted?
I think kind of similar to what Tablespoon Theatre is doing now. It's kind of like not just, oh, we're going to do the same as we did in real life, but this time it will be a recording. But more kind of like how you can actually engage with the form of like the online space, to make it more interesting, and just kind of not just doing it in a way that's like, oh well, we have to do this, but like, oh actually what can it add doing it this way, which is nice.
How long have you been working on it now? You've been working on it over Zoom, I guess?
Yeah, so I guess so when I was working on it like all of last term, so I guess like since October, and that was kind of the version that I showed to the Tablespoon team, but that version was it was kind of like just a film, and there wasn't any, I guess, like it didn't engage with the form very much in terms of like, obviously now that we've got like digital formats, you can do stuff like you can be interactive or you know, things like this. So what's been really good is that working with Joya, my producer, is kind of finding those moments of like interactivity and where you can kind of bring the audience in more, even if it's not like directly we're on a Zoom and, you know, we're talking to an audience, there's still ways that you can kind of frame it differently. So yeah, we've been kind of, basically we have meetings on Zoom, and then we'll go through like script and script edits, and then kind of we both will show each other things that we've come up with or ideas that we've had, and then that's sort of just how it's been working. It's been really nice, and it's been so nice working with Joya because she's so like physical theatre minded, and like I don't know how to describe it, like she's got like a very different way of thinking to me, but I think they kind of gel really well, because I wouldn't come up with the stuff that she'd come up with and she wouldn't come up with the stuff that I'd come up with, so it's really good to just bounce ideas off of her.
Yeah, so how have you been doing the interactive bit?
So at the moment, the way we've been doing it has been just like addressing the audience more. So I listened to this play that I think the company is called 45 North did. It's an audio play and it's called the You Play. And in that, it's all second person. So it's all like you do this and you do that. And the idea with that is that anybody can kind of insert themselves into the story. Obviously, it's a bit different for mine because I think it is quite an individual story, but there's more of kind of bringing the audience in and asking questions, which obviously I don't hear the answers to, but I think it kind of gets people thinking a bit more, like what you were saying about the ways you related to it. I think it just draws out more of that, or hopefully it will.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the emotion comes from like the different ages, you know, the 5 at the start and then 5 at the end. You know, what do you think was so important about bringing in the ages? You know, saying like I'm 18. What do you think is important about that?
When you're young, you just, I don't know, you're self-absorbed, but in a really nice way, where it's just kind of like, oh, I'm just going about my life, I'm doing my things, and I don't really care about what I look like when I'm doing it.
No.
but then yeah, the different ages, I think the reason they were sort of important was that was the moments when people kind of make you more aware of your body.
It's that youthful outlook that we talked about before, of having no perception of yourself. It's like,
yeah.
how do you feel like, almost like in an like, advice way, like how do you feel like a 20-year-old can go back to that mental state?
I think it's really individual to the people, and I think for me a big part of it was like kind of, I don't know, like loosening associations that you have with things. Like for me it was fatness, like that was always the big bad, like that was the thing, like, oh god, if you're fat, that's awful. And it makes it difficult because a lot of the time, like, and it happens in the piece, like you'll say something like, oh, I don't know, because I'm fat or whatever. And again, it's difficult because people say this in a well-meaning way. They'll be like, oh no you're not, no you're not. But when people say that, it's kind of like, oh, but like you saying that implies that that's the worst thing I could be.
Yeah.
And even stuff like that is odd, because then you can't really claim your own identity and your own self and put a label on it. But yeah, and it is, I don't know, I don't think there's like easy advice, but I think for me it's very much like kind of yeah, I think for me it's very much like claiming my own identity.
Who's in the cast? So is it like one person?
It's just me, yeah. So it's literally just my voice, and then the way that it's kind of being adapted hopefully for the festival is it's the way I'm kind of thinking of it is, so I mean it's like a web page, but essentially it's like a digital art installation. So, and I guess that's another like benefit of it moving online is, you know, I probably wouldn't have been able to like, you know, travel up to Glasgow or whatever.
No, yeah, exactly. There's so much more freedom online, even though it's less like personal. It's like you can adapt it so it is. But yeah, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm really excited to see how it's going to come out.
It was really nice talking to you too. Thanks.